Picture this. It's the 1st of January 2025. You're sitting down at your desk after the holidays, coffee in hand, and you're looking at next year's numbers. Now, some of your promotional campaigns might be a hit. Others, maybe not so much. And as the world scrolls through endless social media feeds, your ads are either making waves or they're quietly fading into the background. Now, imagine this instead. Your Facebook ads are laser focused, perfectly aligned with the vision that you set for your business. And every dollar you spend is a step towards your biggest goals for the year. The difference is a detailed, organized plan and a strategy to get you there. Today, we're talking about how to build that plan, how to align your Facebook ad strategy so that it's not just an expense, but your most powerful tool to make your 2025 goals happen. Let's dive in. Hey there, welcome to another episode of the HerBusiness podcast. I'm Susie, and today we're continuing with our planning theme. And this week we're talking about how to plan out your advertising strategy to really align with your 2025 goals. I decided to sit down with Tina Hay of Puzzle Media. At HerBusiness, we've actually been working with Tina for a number of years now, and we use her agency to set up and run our ads. She's also a member of the HerBusiness community. Now, she's passionate about helping small to medium-sized business owners grow their businesses by providing marketing and advertising strategies and services that really deliver results and help businesses expand. Now, before we dive into the gold mine of knowledge that Tina has for us, I want to point you to a couple of resources that you can use right now to level up your ads. The first is a completely free Facebook ads guide that Tina has put together for you. Now, Facebook is the most used social media channel around the world, which makes it such an effective advertising tool. But we all know creating a Facebook ad campaign can take time, and there are many elements to consider: your budget, your objective, your audience, your creative. So this is a step-by-step guide that'll teach you how to create a full Facebook ads campaign. And if you want to grab a free copy, I'm going to put a link in our show notes, and I'll tell you where to get those later. There's another great resource Tina is providing right now, which is her online marketing lead generation audit. Now, this is for those listening who want more inquiries or more bookings, more calls coming into your business. Now, she's going to help you create a lead generation system that works to increase your clients, your customers, and your sales. And I've got a link to that, Tina's online marketing lead generation audit, also in our show notes. And I'll tell you where those show notes are just after the interview. Now, if you have plans in 2025 to either start or dive into using advertising on platforms like Facebook and Instagram to promote your projects and your services, this episode is going to be so valuable for you. All right, without further ado, let's get into the interview. Hey, Tina, welcome to the show.
Hi, Susie. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to be talking about Facebook ads and also talking about planning, something I'm a big fan of, and I know you are too, about being strategic. And we're actually talking about our Facebook ads. So as we're planning our ad strategy for 2025, what do you feel are the essential trends to focus on that are going to support not just short-term, what's popular now, but long-term business goals?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. I hate the word trends, okay, because it comes and goes and things happen and things change all the time. So, if I were to say, what are the trends in 2025 now? Well, of course, video, we have to talk about video. So there's lots of different things that are working when it comes to ads at the moment. So if I can sort of outline with just a bit of what's happening in, I guess, Facebook and Meta ads at the moment. So they've rolled out a lot of AI within the ads platform. So if anyone is going into the ads platform and they haven't been in for a few months, they're going to see a few changes. Text is written for you now. They can change all the images. You can even create your own backgrounds. They're very, very AI, so just be cautious. So what we've seen is, Meta want to make it a lot more automated. The problem with this is they don't have, it's not quite there yet. And so what we're seeing is when we've been playing around with this, things are getting moved and ads they're not really showing up the way we want them to. The audiences we want to select are not as targeted. So From a meta ads perspective, I think the trend that we will see next year is more people trying the AI. So we might see some interesting AI images coming up in ads, but more so, I guess, in social media as a whole. It is changing slightly. And so we're seeing a lot more of, we're seeing static images and carousels coming back with just one word kind of headlines rather than, beautifully designed creative all the time. So I'm definitely seeing a lot more of that in my feed. We've noticed that with clients as well, that when we're using the more natural images, they tend to be working a bit more, a bit better. But in terms of sort of trends for next year to look out for, things are changing very, very quickly in AI. So, definitely being across that if you're managing your own campaigns. In terms of your ad copy and ad creative, just being applying common sense always when using these AI tools. But yeah, trend wise, definitely videos, they're not going away. But I have seen more of the carousels coming in, more of the swipey posts on Instagram in particular, coming back as ads. I've even seen, and we haven't tested this yet, but I do want to test it over at Puzzle. A snapshot of someone's notes, like the Notes app, snapshot with just the copy. So yeah, lots of different things happening. It's an interesting time.
It's an interesting one to try and keep up with. And so as you know, we're very big on planning, and this time of year we're doing planning across all parts of HerBusiness with our members who are in all sorts of different programs. If I'm a small business owner, I'm looking at 2025. I know I've got a set budget. What are the things that I should consider in my planning, Tina?
Yeah. So if I can talk about planning as a whole, business-wise and marketing, I really encourage our clients to not put all their eggs in one basket. Okay. And with that, I mean, if you are just doing Facebook ads, I would just be careful and just have some backup. So have a look at things like, is your website ranking with Google when people are searching for the problems that they have? Not just with Google, chat GPT is launching search. They're in the process of testing that. So that's something to be on top of. Content is going to be key. Again, it kind of has always been key, but coming back to content, making sure that not just if you're looking at advertising, looking at the other platforms that are available out there. And if you're wanting to focus just on Facebook and you know that Facebook works for you, then making sure you have got, when you're doing your planning, you have some steps in place for maybe the lower ticket offers, which we're seeing work really well for some of our clients. Some of our clients have got ebooks they're promoting at $17 all the way through to programs at $2,000. So having the different steps for the different stages that people are at in business, I think it's definitely something to consider. It's not necessarily about going out and creating all of these new products and offers. It's using what you've got. You may have I've just added to mine a 30-minute pick my brain, really low ticket, but enough. It's not just a discovery call. It's giving advice, giving solutions. So for some, I know you have a lot of coaches and consultants in her business network. Something like that might work really well, where you don't have to go and create anything specific. It's a Calendly link and a booking in directly with you, and adding payment details. So making sure that you've got, when you're doing your planning, what's the process that you're taking people on? Have you got a follow-up in place? Have you got a follow-up process? Is it email marketing? Have you got some automation, some funnels? Is it that you have, depending on your business, have you got team members that are following up? Are they the right team members to be following up and doing those? So really looking at your marketing as a whole, from what happens when someone kind of makes contact with you. And so what's the process after? And I think if you have a system and a process for that, then when you're doing your planning, making sure that all roads kind of lead to where you want people to be.
I love that, because we don't want to have this shotgun sort of approach where it's like, oh, I've got this new thing, I'm just going to focus there for a minute, and I haven't thought the process all the way through. And we have this wonderful opportunity right now, as we're recording, it's in the middle of November, that we can project out 12 months and say, well, these are the things that I'm going to be working on. Here's how one thing fits with the other. Here's when I'm building my audience. Here's when I'm generating leads. Here's when I'm making my offers. How, as if I'm thinking about planning, could you speak a little bit to that part of the process? Not only from when someone gets in touch with you, but how do we even get people to say yes in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've noticed, and, I'll go back to social media for a second. What we're really noticing is, people are engaging more and more with organic content. And where organic content gets a lot more reach is where there is conversation and comments and people that are watching something. As soon as you sort of share it, there's a bit of activity around that. So I think if you take a step back and look at, okay, how is it, like really go back to basics, how is your product or your service solving other people's problems? How is your solution the answer? What is it that you do? How do you do it? And getting really clear on that client avatar and that target market. And what you'll find is that people have different stages where they're doing the fact finding. So they're doing that, what we call that awareness in the customer journey, where they're a bit more problem aware. Okay, so they know that there's a problem. I'll use HerBusiness as an example, if I may. So, if you're wanting to talk about the community, the HerBusiness community, and becoming a member, that person, if they haven't heard of HerBusiness, they are perhaps they're not necessarily searching for that, but what they want is they want community. They want somewhere they can brainstorm. They want someone that is also going through the same thing as them. And so, and I know within the HerBusiness network, there's a lot of different offerings, but going back to that, okay, how are we helping these people? Where are they at? What problem have they got? And what stage of the customer journey are they at? So if it's awareness, then, podcasts like this, your blog posts, can really help get some traffic onto your website. Your social media content, of course, should be answering those questions that people have at the start. And then you have that conversion phase where people are not conversion yet. It's probably more that findability that we call it, where they are aware there's a problem and they have maybe come across some similar solutions to you, to what you offer. And now they're doing their research. So what are the options out there? And this is where content can really, really help with social media. Being aware, like looking at what are people searching for when they're trying to find solutions that you're offering. What kind of questions are they asking? You can use ChatGPT for a lot of this. There's so much software out there that can help you. Answer the Public is one that I have mentioned. I kind of feel like I don't talk about it for a while, but it's such a good tool. I don't know if you've used it, but
I don't. Answer the Public. No, we'll make sure we put the link to this in notes.
So
tell us about that.
It used to be free for maybe 2 or 3 searches every 48 hours until you kind of have to pay for a subscription. But we found it because we do a lot of SEO with clients, and we also work on keywords with Google Ads. But we find that having that also helps us with our meta ads and the social media content we do. So what you can do in there is you can enter a combination of your keywords. So for me, it might be for Puzzle Media, digital marketing agency. And what it will do is it will scan every single question asked in the last 12 months of Google to give you a breakdown. And so then it gives you, and you can play around with it. You can do, we've done it before for Facebook advertising, like for service specific. We've done it for the Gold Coast. We're based on the Gold Coast. Gold Coast small businesses. What are people asking? What is it they need help with? So once you do, and I haven't tried doing this on ChatGPT, but I would imagine that you can probably do this there as well. But it actually gives you, the reason I like Answer the Public is it scans actual data of what people are searching. So if you can get an understanding of, okay, well, these types of questions are being asked when people are not actually sure of the solution they need. And then these types of questions are more and they're ready to make a decision, make a purchasing decision, engage your services, join a community, take that next step, make a purchase. And so your business, we all as business owners, we understand our business inside out. But really taking a look at those questions can kind of pull you back a bit, because I think we become a little bit lost in we get a little bit too close to things sometimes, right?
Yes,
we do it as well,
puzzle.
And sometimes you need to kind of take a step back and say, what are people needing? And often it's a bit more basic than we're making it out to be, depending on what level they're at.
I love this. So part of our plan is to do the research, which is what you're saying. Part of the plan is, one, have your end goal in mind. Here's what I'm going to be promoting. Here's when I'm going to be doing it. Doing my research is part of your plan. So as you're listening, thinking about what is the information that I need to know about my clients to know that when I'm serving up the right products and services, that I'm answering their questions, that I now know, to Tina's point, what the organic content is going to be, that I might get engagement on, that I may turn into ads or use as inspiration for ads. And so here's the thing that, I know working with Tina is we want to be really thoughtful about the whole part of our marketing, a whole part of the process. And whether it's Google ads or keywords or Facebook ads, it's really about planning the whole thing and keeping the big picture in mind as we dive into the minutiae. Anything you want to say on that before I move on? I want to talk about videos.
The only thing I will add to that, if I may, is that when you're doing your planning, obviously that end goal, and you just said it, Susie, but having that end goal in mind. So whether you are looking to, whether you have a community or a membership set up where you want you would like to hit a certain amount of members, whether you've got an agency or service-based businesses like I do, where we're saying, we want to onboard, 2 or 3 clients a month or whatever our goal is. So work out your numbers and then look at, what is it I need to do to get there? How many new leads do I need, or new email addresses, or new conversations? What are my conversion rates? So if you're doing sales calls and discovery calls, what's your conversion rate? What are your conversion rates if you're doing everything online of your pages? Because as we know, it does become, marketing is a numbers game if you get it right, because it's tweaking. If you can increase your conversion rates by 5% and you can increase your close rates by, all of that helps. But if you need to have a starting point. So really dive into your numbers and have a look at what are we doing here and what is it that we want to achieve next year, because that will then allow you to kind of plan a little bit better as to what is it we need to do, where do we put, our focus, where do we put our energy.
I want to give you another couple of numbers that I think are important to add to the ones that Tina's talking about. One is knowing what the lifetime value of a customer is. And so this is part of your planning. Go back and have a look. What is the average lifetime value of a customer? Because that may inform how much you're willing to spend to acquire a new client. The other thing is to actually record your metrics. There was another number that's gone out of my head right now that I want to mention, but actually tracking your metrics. And so it's not just how much am I paying per lead, but then how many of those leads are turning into clients, and then how long are they staying? And this is just becoming more mature as a marketer, knowing that numbers matter. And sometimes, the cost of a lead isn't necessarily the only thing that's important when it comes to your marketing. Sometimes we have to have a bit more of a macro and a longer term view. There was another number. If I remember it, I'll bring it up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. That lifetime value is really, really important, because sometimes it's we call it when we're doing, when we're working with, we work with people in the kind of health and beauty industry and allied health. So if someone is booking, say, a physio appointment, okay, it may cost, the client may not break even on that first appointment when they're doing Facebook ads or Google ads. But then we look at, and this is something we really work with those types of clients on, what is it over, how long do they stay, what's the average spend, do they come back? And then you have some really interesting numbers to work on. And for those of you that are, those are the listeners that are relatively new in business, work with what you've got, work with the data you've got and what your ideal would be. How long would someone work with you or work with your business, and kind of work backwards that way. So yeah, just to add to that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm going to continue on with it because I know that sometimes for those businesses, the downfall is that they haven't planned ahead on how am I going to get the customer to rebook. And so a couple of things. So say you are a naturopath and maybe you don't make money on the first appointment. You think, well, how many of those can I do? But then what is your process for getting to book again? Or what is your process for then getting people to sign up to a multi-session package? Because if you're offering a solution like a naturopath or any type of therapist, likely they're not going to get a result with one anyway. And so what is the package you're going to sell them? I know, Tina, there's a woman I go to, Kelly, if you're listening, hello, for my eyebrows, and I don't leave without getting my next appointment. Like it's just part of their process, and she's just so good at it. Before I leave, I've booked that one. At this time of year, I'll book 3 ahead because it's going to be the time of year when she's really busy. And so then whatever it costs you to get that first person in the door, the person in the door for the first time, what is the reality? It's now on you to make sure that you are planning on how am I going to keep them for the longest time. That makes sense, obviously, for your services.
Yes, definitely.
I can geek on this sort of conversation all day. I love it.
And look, this is the thing. It is where so many businesses I just see so much lost opportunity because there is, there's that saying, and I say it all the time, the fortune really is in the follow-up, right? Because if that your eyebrow lady, she's actually making life easier for you because you are then, it's in your diary, it's in your calendar. Okay, with the naturopath example and anything that's in that sort of allied, physio. I was seeing physio for quite a while last year. They are booking that next appointment and they're making it very clear in that first appointment that this is going to take, on average, 6 to 10 sessions, okay? If you do the work. If you don't do the work, then, or four sessions or whatever it is, so making it really clear and just making sure whoever, whether it's a receptionist or whether it's the business owner, that they are booking that next one in. It's such a quick, easy win.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you take anything away from that, what we've just talked about, or this episode, I think that would be it. This is how you maintain a sustainable business. We talked a little bit about video. You told us it's not going anywhere. We at HerBusiness, we've been experimenting and having a lot of fun with Reels and now starting to look at using some Reels as ads. And I know for many business owners, Tina, and I don't know if you have this as well, we're just so shy of getting on camera and creating Reels. But so make a case for me on, do we need to consider including Reels as part of what we're doing for our social media and then possibly our advertising?
Yeah, I think if you are not doing Instagram Reels, you are going to miss out on an opportunity. Now, not everyone's audience is on Instagram. So this is speaking to people that they know that their audience is on Instagram. I did a webinar last week and I shared some stats and the number of people on using Facebook in Australia, 19 million. So it's always at the top. Facebook is not going anywhere. It will keep us coming back for more constantly. I don't think that's ever going to change. However, Instagram in the last probably about 5-6 years has doubled in growth. Okay, so Instagram is now 12 million Australians. Okay, when I used to run social media workshops and I always use the same sort of source for data, it really has increased. And a big part of that is how people are using it, and Reels and stories are how people are using it. That's not to say your organic content, your static content is dead, not at all. But Reels, Instagram will continue pushing Reels for as long as people keep watching and engaging. So it's definitely not going anywhere. But I think what's happened with Reels is it has changed. So I think when Reels first launched, it was doing silly dances and very much trying to emulate what TikTok did until they kind of went, and even TikTok has changed. I'm not going to talk about TikTok. I'm not a TikTok expert. But with Reels and Instagram, the way that you can share a Reel, the content you put on a Reel has changed. So for those of us that are a little bit more camera shy, I don't love being on video. I'm going to be honest. I don't love it, but I know that when I do, I get a good response. And I know that you do as well, Susie. So it is that I think we have to play around with it and do what's comfortable. So something that we've been experimenting with is just having a video that's not necessarily someone's face, and having a little headline and playing around with that style of content. It still does better when there is a face on there, I will admit, but don't let that stop you. The other thing with Reels is it's a really good way of reaching new followers, okay, which you cannot get on Facebook. So we did some experimenting, and the team were in the process of actually putting this into a blog. So I wish I had it ready to share, but I don't yet. But with Reels, so something that we've been playing around with is trying to share things at different times of the day, but also sharing Reels to other platforms as a Reel to get new views on there. Okay, so for example, we shared one on my LinkedIn. I shared it in a networking group, a group chat that I'm part of.
Just so we're clear, are you uploading the Reel again, or are you able to share it from Instagram to these other platforms?
Uploading the Reel and then sharing the link to go back to Instagram. So
You're not loading it into the other platforms. Sorry, I'm just going to get really granular.
Not loading it into the other platforms. We've tested
pointing people back to Instagram.
Yeah. So pointing people back to Instagram, newsletter as well. So putting it in your newsletter, come and take a watch of this Reel. So what we noticed was every time we did this, and it wasn't it really wasn't complicated. It was just sharing it in 2 or 3 other places that we wouldn't normally be sharing an Instagram Reel in that format. And our new followers or new views on the Reels switched from being, on average, it was 70% existing, 30% new, to the other way around. It was actually 70% new eyes on our Reels. And even though we haven't done this every single time, it's still our new, like when I look at the insights, our new people that we're reaching has increased. So I think it's really easy to get, no, go on.
I just want to stay on this because I think this is really, really good. So you're creating it on Instagram. Maybe, Instagram allows you to share it on Meta, on Facebook, great. But can you now, on your other platforms, to what Tina's talking about, go to LinkedIn, do a post, direct them back to Instagram? I know LinkedIn won't love that. You said that you put it in a group where obviously they allow links. So you put it there. Anywhere else? I mean, even that's enough, right, for you to see a change in stats. We did a bit of I shared it to the team as well and said, right, can everyone just go and just watch it? You don't need to comment, you don't need to like, just go and watch it. So if Instagram can see that you're getting engagement quite quickly on something that's been published, they're going to push it out more so than usual. They're going to push it out to more people. Okay, so it's the people I shared it to aren't necessarily people that are not, they know who we are. Well, maybe they don't, but they do know who we are. They're not a cold audience or anything like that, but just playing around with what does this look like? I think video is definitely not going anywhere. Reels is it definitely is an interesting one to play with. And if you have a look in your Reels, in your Reel feed, you'll see the formats they have changed, and you can keep it simple. It doesn't need to be overcomplicated. I feel like as soon as you overcomplicate it, people won't do it. You won't do it. Even us. As soon as we overcomplicate something and we're adding cover photos and doing this, that, and the other, we're posting less. So it's let's just get some stuff out there. And you know what? If it's not 100% polished and perfect, that's okay, because that's not us anyway. We're not 100% polished and perfect. We're still playing around and experimenting because it changes constantly. Right, and you're better off having, just getting, like you said, getting the content out there, because these things there are a little ephemeral, like they last for, days or whatever. Sometimes something will stick, then get moving on to the next one. I just thought of another place that you could, if you have a newsletter, you could direct people to your Reels. If you send dedicated emails every week, you can, even if you did a little series of Reels, you could link to them. And again, all you're doing is increasing the views and telling the algorithm that, this is a popular Reel, which just means it gets more popular. Yeah, great. Thank you.
that's what
That's a great
happens.
insight.
Yeah, and with the reels as well is something that I don't know if you've noticed. I think you guys have had this, where you might post something and it gets a bit of traction, and then suddenly it will pick up again, maybe a few weeks later,
Yes.
and you'll see that that's because it's been shared somewhere, or someone has saved it, or someone has shared it onto their stories, which you may not always see that if they're not tagging
Mm.
you, but then that's
Mm.
also building some momentum. So we really should be using our social media platforms as another opportunity for people to find out more about us. So we've got our website, everyone's got a website. Well, your social media platforms should also be representing what you do, knowing that people will still go back and visit, especially on Instagram.
Very good. Thank you so much. I know that you work with a number of women inside of our community, and so we are going to put the details on where people can find you. And you do run different workshops and things and do some one-on-ones, I heard you say today, which is great. Inside of Her Business, we have a saying, which is do what you love every day. What does a typical day in Tina's life look like where you are doing what you love in your business?
Yeah. So I have had a bit of a shift this year in how I'm doing things, and I'm now really spending kind of like Mondays and Fridays working on my business and doing some more of my sort of one-to-one work that I do with private clients, which I have absolutely loved. So a typical day would be taking the kids to school, getting out the house, taking the dog for a walk in the morning, getting out of the house, and then going for a walk, coming back and having a plan for the day. I always have a little plan for the day. What do I want to achieve? I'm actually, me and a girlfriend we're accountability buddies. So we do a little affirmation of what we want our day to look like in the morning on WhatsApp. So I love that. It really kind of sets me up and puts me in that right frame of mind. And then just work. I love working on the business. I love doing things like this, running workshops, teaching people so that they have enough knowledge that if they do engage an agency at some point, that they know enough to be able to, give everyone the right information. And then just quiet evenings, cooking dinner, having nice food. Very low key.
I love it. But, when we can discern, what brings me joy, we can find it, and I love that
Absolutely.
you now 2 days a week are doing more of what you love every day. So good. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Susie.
How great was that? We could have talked all day. I feel like I learned so many strategies that I really want to try out in 2025, and I hope that you did too. I find it really interesting just how much the trends for ads, posts, reels can change in such a short amount of time, and how important it is to stick to our guns, to stick with what works. But as Tina says, it's all about doing your research, understanding what it is that your audience is looking for at that first introduction, and using content as your marketing, providing value for that audience, and then getting them into your marketing funnel. And I just want to say, for all of those who are wary of reels, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And like Tina mentioned, Instagram reels are a really great way to increase your leads and get major visibility for your business. So I encourage you to try some reels out, and please let me know if you'd like us to do an episode specifically about creating reels and the strategy around visibility on social media. I think that would be a fun one to do. And please, please, please don't forget that you have 2 resources waiting for you in the show notes. The first is Tina's step-by-step guide for setting up a Facebook ad campaign, so valuable. And you can also grab your online lead generation audit on our show notes page as well. And you'll find the show notes at herbusiness.com/283. That's herbusiness.com/283. It's an amazing resource for those looking to level up their lead generation and to get more clients, more customers, more sales. Happy days. Now, I hope you enjoyed this episode and you are taking away some really great strategies to implement. And I hope you'll join us on the next episode for more inspiring stories and lessons from successful female entrepreneurs. So if you're not already subscribing to the show, be sure to hit subscribe wherever you are listening. Now, I love doing this show for you. I appreciate you listening and sharing the show with your friends. And I also love it whenever you comment on what you enjoyed or implemented. It really does make my day. You can either write to me at podcast@herbusiness.com. You can comment on Instagram. You can direct message me. We are at HerBusiness on Instagram. Now, once again, I want to remind you that there's great resources as well as a summary of today's episode are over on our show notes page at herbusiness.com/283. If you enjoyed this episode, would you do me a huge favour and leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts? Apple Podcasts is the big kahuna when it comes to podcasting, even though there are other platforms. And a review left there does so much to encourage others to listen to the show and take away great information like we got here today with Tina. So if you're new to the show, remember to subscribe. If you enjoyed this episode, head to Apple Podcasts. Most of all, though, I want to say join me next time right here on the Her Business podcast. Bye for now.